Hello, welcome. We're live, I guess. We can review addressing and mailing out more Dagger issues tonight. Thank you for everyone who purchased the Dagger over this past week. We really appreciate it. So, crazy week. Don got a job as a bar back. He's been hoisting gigantic beer kegs and sweeping floors, making sure the fucking bar's working good. We're a working man right now. And I just got back from cozy fucking Vancouver. A lot of heroin addicts. That's what you get for staying at a hostel. Hey, what's up, Deadware? Yeah. Don was going to be on the stream with us, but he had to go to work. He's had an interesting week as well, from what I hear. And we'll do a little bit more catch up with him when he comes back. But yeah. So we're going to mail one out to Mr. Michael Pupilio. Guess I shouldn't be saying all you guys' names on the fucking stream. I don't know if it matters. But this is how it works at Dagger. Sit around, address shit, spending 2 hours in the post office trying to get them to fucking mail that stuff. You know, the fucking post office, they say, oh, you can't come in here with more than 10 packages. You can't mail them more than 10 at a time. I went to the fucking main post office and they told me, hey, they're supposed to do that. You know, they're supposed to fucking mail out however much I fucking bring. I don't care if I got fucking 30 magazines. You're supposed to take them and mail them. But they don't. Sweeping floors is a flavor of the pain I haven't tasted before. Tasted? What up? What up, Corey? What else happened? So, we already told you. Saw a man die and be revived over the weekend. That's always interesting. Fucking, gonna get these addresses wrong because I'm fucking not paying attention. I'm also gonna be making sure that we don't smoke as many cigarettes on the stream. I think that's bad. I think we shouldn't be smoking so many cigarettes. Nah, I'm back in Brooklyn. Made it back. I lived. Fucking had a crazy heroin chick punch me right in the face. But she had such weak hands, man. She was like weak. But I think she had a fucking shiv behind her back when we were doing it, like Donald Hoy Don, not Don. Fucking nope. Jap. The old half Jap. Mulatto underclass. Mutt. Not Chinese. My kid thinks I'm Chinese though for some reason because there's more Chinese in the school. So she grew up thinking that she was fucking Chinese. I'd be like, nah, you're fucking Japanese. I had to try and give her some, Yeah, I thought so too, man. She had the hots. She was fucking all high up. She got all fucking. You don't get worked up like that unless you feel something on the inside. Oh, right. So, yeah, I got 2 kids. Old. That's why we shouldn't be smoking on the fucking stream. It's not good. Can't be smoking. I had a kid young. Thoughts on hentai? I grew up with that shit, man. In Hawaii, they got fucking otaku culture from back in the day, man. Back when I used to go to fucking the comic book shop, they used to have all those porcelain figurines of all the little cuties and sweeties and whatnot. But then I met Don and it took on a whole nother context. Because I'm not like an internet guy like him. Like, I don't fucking traverse the internets the way he does. I'm Don Jolly, yeah. So he gave me a whole nother appreciation for the lolly culture, I guess, whatever you call it. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that it's like What's your elevator pitch of your life? What's the elevator pitch of your life? What am I? Uh, I'm an artist. What can I say? Managed to make it work somewhat to this point where I can maintain a shitty studio. Or you can see the shitty studio, complete disaster. But you know, become an artist. You try and maintain a studio. Try and figure out what it is to actually make art, and keep pushing on it. Like, that's what the dagger is. Like, I started my career doing a bunch of paintings and stuff, and had some good successes with that, and still pushing all the way with that, and you know, trying to hustle with that. But yeah, I'm a painter. Painter, sculptor from the background. Paul LaFoley. No, I don't really pay attention to a lot of stuff. I just kind of, I read, and that's pretty much what I use to inform myself. I don't try and pay attention to like a lot of artists, but I mean, I'm always open to looking at new art, looking at new artists, trying to figure out what they're doing. I like that, but no. The book at the moment, fucking, which one is my guy? See if I got it with me. No, I don't got it with me. I got the trial with Kafka. Kafka's The Trial. It's pretty fun. Good read. It's like, you're like reading like, it's like everyone stole for his style so much that fucking it's like reading something familiar when you're reading something for the first time. Like, it's like if the sensation that it brings. Dagger, the next Dagger, we were just arguing about that. Like, so basically the whole thing is laid out right now. And it's a matter of what everyone considers done. Like, like trying to push through and make it done. And like I'm much more willing, I'm a bad speller. I don't have like I don't I mean, last issue, I think there's maybe like 4 or 5 spelling mistakes. We're trying to make sure we don't have that this time. We're having people read it through. We're waiting on, like, we have a editorial piece by Kamiko Yamada that's from a letter that she wrote. And so, like, I'm trying to, like, we're trying to make sure that that's all kosher to go to print. Like, making sure that she needed a copy. So we sent the copy to Japan and, just make sure she knows what she's getting into before that. So yeah, more spelling mistakes the better, right? Fucking A, man. Fuck. Everyone's giving me shit about being fucking unprofessional about this thing. Like, look, I'm creating like a space for art. Like, like if you're gonna let a couple of letters out of place, fuck with that. Like, and then also everyone's giving me shit about not having a what do you call table of contents in the front. It's like I didn't want it. Why you want a table? It's not like a magazine. Like the whole thing is a work of art. I mean, like like when you start it from beginning to end, it's like the whole thing is a creation. That they're supposed to look at it as a whole, not supposed to be trying to think like, oh, this is like a magazine. We're going to sell ad space and shit. Thoughts on MDE? Don introduced me to MDE, and what are my thoughts on it? Like, I think it's hard to make stuff. I think it's really hard to make stuff, and if you're able to make anything, I say good on you. So I don't have a whole lot of bad things to say or good things. I mean, I think it's good. I like MD. I think it's funny. But like, as in terms of how it's gone so far in its life and how it's played out inside the world and stuff, it's like you know, I think it's hard to make stuff. So I think good on him for bringing it into the world. Would you consider Dagger a social political magazine? No. I mean, I think the problem was you had artists and writers and creators who were making things that society all of a sudden deemed to have no place. They tried to make it seem like we couldn't just create what we wanted to and put it out there. But you know, I wanted to say no, we can put it out there. We can put something out there that's good and that has, value to society and that brings something to the world. And I don't think that anybody can stop us. So, if it has any sort of social political aspect to it, is because I feel like they're trying to get it so that we can't do it, and I'm saying we can do it, and so that's the social political aspect of it, I guess. That's my for you. How many submissions have you? We've been seeing a lot of submissions, and I'm sorry that Don's the editor, and I'm take responsibility for that too. Like I've been reading through them, but it's the two of us together, so we always have to make sure that we have a discussion about every single one of the pieces that we read, and we think it through. And I think that's our biggest problem is that we get slow because we're always trying to think it through. It's a lot of arguing, a lot of discussions about how things fit into place and how it works as a whole. So um, I'm sorry we haven't been more receptive to the submissions, and they've been great. They've been really really great. Like they're funny fucking stories, man. They're hilarious, and so like I really like them. And it just takes a long time to put them in. It's like this is not just a board. We're not. I mean, it's posting, but it's posting in a way that has I don't know how to say it. We want to make sure that the writing is presented in a way that everybody feels good about. Like it's not just yeah, just send it to editor@daggermag.com. You can send a submission, absolutely. And we love it. Like, and we do read it. Like it's like I wish it seems like we don't because we don't write back all the time. And it's just because we don't want to be glib or we want to make sure that whatever we're saying back to the readers is spot on. Like, because we really do. We take it seriously and we think it's amazing that people are sending stuff in. And we really appreciate it. And it'll find its way into this world in some form, but we just have to make sure that it's right, and it just takes some time. Yeah, please do, right on. Music. And if anybody wonders why it takes so long for them to receive their magazines, it's because of this. Like it takes a little bit of time to fucking sit down and write all this stuff out. And then the post office again is a real pain in the ass. But we're going to scale up at some point. I think it's more grassroots anyway, man. I don't want to like have some sort of like insourcing thing, like where Amazon holds all my magazines and mails them out for me. Like, no, thank you. And that's how we do it. Address. Put the magazine in. And mail. How'd you meet Don? I met Don. So one of my neighbors, I've lived in this place for 16 years, and my neighbor downstairs, we do role playing games and Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And Don came in as a GM, and that's how I met him. We played Call of Cthulhu, and then like I met him, and I was like, this guy's into something. And he was making films, a lot of writing. He drew his own comic book. And it's like really rare to run into another person that is motivated to create on their own and try and see it through to completion. And so like, I was writing a comic book at the time. I was drawing a comic book at the time. And so like we both were drawing comic books, and he had a bunch of writing. So he and I kind of linked up. We like, I love Godzilla. He loves Godzilla. I like old comic books. He likes comic books. And like, we just kind of hit it off. And actually to the detriment of my friendship with Chris. Like Chris got all fucking pissy and didn't like it. And sorry, I shouldn't have said his name. But yeah, so me and the guy who actually introduced us are no longer friends for some reason. It's unfortunate, but sometimes that happens. But yeah, and after that, like, once Don and I started making stuff together, it was like, you're committed, it's partner, creative partner. Got to hang in through the tough times and the good times, and just see the work through. How'd you land the John Carpenter interview? So like my wife's mom went to high school with Sandy Carpenter, who's John Carpenter's wife, and that's how we landed that interview. That was really cool. He was a cool guy, man. That guy's my idol. Did a lot of good stuff. Prepped us for a lot of the way the world started to turn out. Let's see here. Yep. Another magazine to mail out. Yeah, and I'm sorry about all favorite horror film. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite horror film. Rob Bottin. Like, I'm really into special effects. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I that's how I started my whole career. Was when I was a kid, I got really into special effects and comic books. Like, I got really into learning how to cast heads and sculpt and like make prosthetics and build stuff like that. And Rob Bottin was my guy like that, because like my dream world. Like, what happened with Rob Bottin is that when he was young, he was probably like 16, 17. He started correspondence with Rick Baker, and Rick Baker brought him along to work on some films as his assistant. And then he got a job on The Howling, and he made The Howling, which actually has a werewolf transformation scene that predates the American Werewolf and Transformation scene that Rick Baker won his Academy Award for. But at 19 or 20, John Carpenter went to Rob Bottin and said, "Hey, I got this movie, and I want you to do the special effects for it." And so he basically gave him free reign to make all the creatures inside that movie. And that was always my dream. I was like, oh, I'm gonna work on special effects, and then I'm gonna go, and then some auteur director is gonna be like, oh, you make all the monsters, like, you've been controlling, like, I'm sure you'll do a good job and work hard on it. And I always thought that was so cool that all those things came out of his imagination. He didn't have to go through some sort of weird committee to, like, approve every single design that he was coming up. And I think it came out great. But I actually had like a second cousin who was in the industry at the time. Like, he worked on the crew that made like the Cricket gun for Men in Black and all that kind of stuff. And the writing on the wall was the corporatization of the special effects industry, meaning that like you had these giant workshops where you're just another cog in the wheel, and they have to go through all these kind of mechanisms to make your art come through. And I was like, that's not really me. I'm not going to do that. I don't really. So I didn't go into special effects, and but because I learned so much from special effects about how to mold and cast, I got into, when I came to New York, I was able to get into fabricating world. Like, so I fabricated a lot of sculptures for other artists, and didn't get any credit for it, but that's fine. Like, you get paid. Like, so mold making, casting, body casting, like that was all what I did when I first came to the city. Um, and yeah. What is your ultimate hope for Dagger Man? Like, where would you like to go ideally? I read a lot. Tim Heideggers is a fuck. Fuck that. No, fuck that guy. But ideally, like, I would like to keep it going for as long as I can, in its purest state, for as long as I can. That's what my goal is for Dagger. I read a lot of magazines. I love magazines, and I love independently published magazines, like, like, especially like comic zines or movie zines, like, like stuff like this. Like, like, this is an old magazine that was created to talk about the industry, and they have an interview. This is probably 1984 or something like that, but they have like interviews with the head of DC at the time, and they have all these insights into creation. My favorite guy of all time is Jim Steranko. I love Jim Steranko. Dagger. Yeah, it's named Dagger because it's trying to get an idea, and you put it on the tip and you stab it into society, and then it poisons the bloodstream. So, you're trying to get those ideas inside the main vein, Dagger, stabbing those ideas in there. Do you think any man? Yes, of course, any man on the street is a filmmaker. That's the only benefit from this fucking cell phone society that we've entered into. Yeah, Steranko History of Comic Books. That'll tell you how to make stuff. Jim Steranko tells all the stories. You know, he's got the guy's full of stories, man. Like just yeah, you think things are tough now, man. Me and back in the day, I had this thing and my boss got mad at me, but Steranko was Steranko and he kept going. Like, you know, fucking Steranko's the man. He does like he's actually the fucking man of like he kept hitting a magazine, which is a huge influence on me. Let me see if I can grab a copy of this. 1 second. I'll grab you a copy of Media Scene. So Steranko used to publish this magazine, Media Scene. And it's just a newspaper. And if you like the history of comic books, you'd like this because he writes it all. He writes this entire thing. It's crazy how much he writes. And he writes about, you know, femme fatales. Like, you know, Jim Steranko loves the ladies, right? And so, like, when Media Scene continued on through the 80s and 90s, and the way he funded it is he used to sell, like, old porno in the back of fucking the magazine. He would sell, like, all these old, like, hey, you want to see Marilyn Monroe's first nude video? Well, you can get it over here, like, you know, and that's what he would do. Like, he would order, like, you know, 8mm film of pornography from Jim Steranko, and he would keep writing about comic books as much as you want. Write about movies. Yeah. Pork magazine. No, I would love to read that. I would, you know, on the schedule is tough. I think I would like to have it on like a quarterly. I think quarterly is good. Uh, that was the idea initially, but the print has just got so much overhead. Like you have no idea. And like, you know, we had some people talking about how we should have it printed in America. And I really, really tried to have it printed in America. And I got no respect. It's like fucking like they wouldn't even respond to my emails. I was like, fuck man, I'm trying to get like I'm spending like a good amount of money to have a bunch of magazines printed. Like, come on. No, I have not. George Petros? No, I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I think that it is more important to have them poignant. Like, you know, like I think that each one, especially this next issue, like I know I keep bigging up this next issue, but this next issue has a lot in it. It has a lot in it. It has like, I mean, when you get it, like if you guys, I don't know if any of you guys role play, but like you can play Gorefest. Like it's like I mean, once you have it, like, and we're going to actually release Gorefest online in the next issue as well, so people can just play it. And if they want a physical copy, they can buy the magazine. But we just want to release it because it's a great game and it's really fun. And I think it's something that makes you think about things in a new way. What is a sellout these days? I don't know. I don't know. Don has very set opinions on what selling out is, and a very, you know, he's a follower of Steve Ditko. So like, you know, there's right and there's wrong, and there's no in between. Like, you know, like and I think that there's something to be said about that. But from my perspective, I think that's the institutions, like as they stand now, have been so blown open, and like it's so bizarre now in terms of the media that if you're able to bring actual ideas to anything of this, like I've got respect for that. Like if you can create something that's a genuine idea that you're putting forth there, and if you're utilizing different media avenues or whatever you're trying to utilize to get the idea out there, and you're able to do it in a successful way, good for you. You're able to make money, good for you. I'm not a big sellout, like, you know, like selling out, like starting something and then selling out, like, you know, it's just, you know, it's hard to fucking, if they can bring something into the world that once, like one time, one good thing into the world, if you can do that once, and then the rest of your life you're just fucking doing bullshit or whatever like that, then hey, at least you did that one thing, right? Yeah, Mr. A. Yeah. Yeah, that's we got a bunch of Ditko over here. We're a big Ditko's fan. Don was corresponding with him before his death, and we were trying to get the last interview, but how can I sell out even a little? Fucking make money, compromise yourself, go to work and fucking, keep your head down. And yeah, sometimes it's, the idea of not selling. I mean, you're looking at kind of like a remnant of some idea of not selling out for a long time, like or I don't deal with any sort of really fucks you into a cranky old man. Like if you're just constantly thinking that if you compromise yourself in any sort of way, you're gonna be a fucking, it makes you really cranky and pissed off at people. How can I sell my soul? I don't think you can really. I think that you sell your soul by not giving yourself the opportunity that you're given. Like, this is your life, this is your story, and you want to make your story the way that you want to tell it. Like, this is your story to tell. And the only person that you're going to rob of that opportunity is yourself. So if you rob yourself of the opportunity to tell a good story with your life, then maybe you're like, if your story is just to narrate somebody else's bigger plan, then maybe that's selling your soul. I don't know. But I'm not making any judgments. I don't care. Exit Magazine. Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna fucking start. I told Don, like, they all tried to get me to put ads in. Like, I actually had a guy who fucking does that. He puts ads in magazines. That's what his whole job is he's like, oh yeah. I gave him, like, I met him at a fucking thing, and he was like, oh, this magazine, yeah, that's what I do. I like, he's like, you know, for ads are in the pocket. You got to make sure your ads in the pocket, hitting the right demographics. Got to get those right demos. So, like, I mean, that was his whole job. We could have had ads. I could have had funding for Dagger a long time ago, like fucking putting all kinds of ads inside of there. But instead, I just got Crazy Donald, Hawaii Don, got Crazy Hawaii Don, and Donner Shack. So if anyone's ever in Hawaii, you should definitely go eat at Donner Shack. I'm working on another guy who runs a tree trimming company called Happy Trees, and I'm hoping that fucking he'll endorse it. And I got another guy who owns his own concrete company, and I think he's going to endorse it too. So those are the kind of ads I like. I like people who own their own business and are making a choice to advertise. Like, it's not like somebody's going to fucking get their tree trimmed because they read Dagger magazine. He just believes in the idea. So it's not like Donald's going to sell any more fucking Donner kebabs because of me, because he's got ads inside Dagger. So it's more about if they endorse the idea more than if I'm endorsing the product. Like, how old am I? I'm 37. How old is the average crowd out here? How old are you guys? So I don't want to smoke cigarettes in front of you guys. Like, don't smoke cigarettes. It's like, once you start, it becomes like sort of a thing. 37. Yeah, 37. Yeah. Yeah, boy. There you go. Yeah, 21. There you go. So are you guys in college right now? Or are you guys working? I would say to all the people right on. Hey, what's up, Max? How's it going, man? Thank you for all the work. I love your work. Max Rogers just showed up inside the feed. He's going to be featured prominently in the next online issue and print issue. His work is really good. Great artist. I like when he smokes it. The Dole. How's the Dole, man? I tell you, man, like, in this past month this past couple months, I've been into a lot of different countries. I've been in Denmark. I've been into Canada, the Netherlands, and Germany. A lot of programs over there to make sure you don't slip through the cracks. I don't know. It doesn't look that good over those places, though. Yeah, programming will be good. Comes in. That's certainly something that's good to do. Oh, you're not actually Max Roderick? Oh. Trying to trick me. Debt Jubilee, man. We're in the Dagger Mag is it. Dagger Mag is the job. Well, I mean that and the paintings. I'm always trying to hawk paintings. Loans, yeah, taking out those loans. Shit. I don't know. Show us a painting. You guys want to see a painting? You've probably seen this in the back wall before. Paintings. Yeah, that's why there's all this painting shit in the background. Slip through the cracks in Denmark and Germany. That's, I mean, the safety net sort of socialist countries that everyone talks so great about over there, but they're all fucking sad. When I was in Denmark, the people I was staying with worked for the government, and there were people protesting on the streets to try and get an arbiter to come in to stop them from striking. Like they had to strike because of like certain mechanisms and sort of the deal making process had come to where they had to strike, and all these people didn't want to strike; they wanted to keep working. So they were protesting in order to get so they could keep working. Otherwise, they'd be forced to strike. Another painting. I don't have that many inside here. This is like the workspace. It's not really like where I keep all the nice finished stuff. Shit. I don't know. They don't show up good on this camera. These are sort of the failures. What place isn't hell? Let's see. I use different I make, for those paintings in particular, I use different kinds of resins and polymers because like I came from a sculpture background, so I know how to use a lot of different kind of materials. And I always try and like break the materials, make it so that they don't actually work, because I use all sorts of stuff that you're not supposed to put in there, so you get weird reactions. And so I'm always trying to dump stuff in there that's gonna break it. Yeah, Pollock. It's like, from my point of view, is like coming from fabricating, you realize that everybody has their work fabricated nowadays for the most part. There's high quality paint. There's people paint and do all kinds of stuff, but we're living in like a time where there's no particular movement or new ideas to break through. So it's like you can do anything, right? So if you can do anything, then what do you do? And like what I came to is you use the medium of your making fishing rods because it has like good flexibility and it has good weather resistance. That's why I'm able to make them so big. And like, so it's like Pollock. It's taking some of the ideas of Pollock and applying it to like a medium that is only available now. So like if they were to look at it, they would see the influence of Pollock and the abstract expressionist, but it's in a medium that represents this time, and I don't know, that's what yeah, I paint shit that exists. I got a whole bunch of paintings that exist. Fucking it's like when we were doing the stream on the street, you saw all those cat paintings. Those are like sort of like these poster paintings that I paint. I can paint landscapes. Fuck, I mean, if you got pretty much, it used to be like, the way that people used to mix paints and do all that kind of stuff and figure out how their techniques used to be very secretive, keep to themselves. But now it's like anybody can look up that stuff on YouTube. So like if I want to make it's all those sort of perceptual things that people had to develop in the previous styles of painting on their own is now open to everybody. So you like, if you wanted to paint anything, you could probably find a tutorial for it online and paint it. It's not a problem. Because it's a fucking weird place. I think it's got a weird, like, I think it's like on a piece of, the reason why Manhattan exists is because it's like a piece of bedrock that can't be washed away. Like, it's like right in the middle of these two giant rivers. And I think that that's probably a good assessment. More so than what the paintings are, more so than what the magazine is, and more so than anything, it's not like it's about what you're doing. That's what it is. Like you constantly have to be asking yourself, like, yeah, exactly. What the fuck? There's no point in painting a beautiful landscape anymore unless you want to have some sort of nostalgic trip of, or you want to have some sort of social signaling on your wall about, like, the grandiosity of something or other. Or I don't know. It doesn't make any sense anymore. It's all referential to an aesthetic. Like, it's like how you want your apartment to look, or like, your business. Like you want to have a bucolic landscape on there. So it's like, yeah, who cares about fucking landscape paintings? And even who cares about representation art? Like, it's like we have computers nowadays. We have every single image that was, that we found or created in human history available to us. So, you got to think really hard. All that kind of stuff. I mean, we're like, if something rolls into town, we'll probably hit it up. But in terms of vices, I don't think we have too many. But, you should try and avoid as many vices as you can if you guys are. What's your guys' vice? You guys got any particular vices? Hope it's not heroin. I just had like, this past year and a half, 2 years, I've lost 3 friends to heroin and 3 to suicide. But the suicide ones are on the fence because like 2 of them were like sleeping pills and one of them fucking hung himself. So the sleeping pill ones were all kind of like, maybe they took too many sleeping pills. I don't know. Cigars, porn, yeah. Porn, like I believe porn is the only thing that's keeping us from out of fucking World War III, man. So like Wilhelm Reich, we keep talking about Wilhelm Reich. You guys should read it, like a mass psychology of fascism. He's the guy who created the term sexual revolution, like, because he believed that fascism was not a political movement as much as a reaction to repress sexual and orgy desire. Yep, porn and porn, exactly. But the thing is that, anybody who's ever been to fucking Berlin is fucking knows how weird that town is. That town is fucking weird. So I could see how, they've got the way that they alleviate their desires. They have these crazy fucking sex clubs around there. There's a club called the Kit Kat Club. I did not get in. This guy went to the door. The guy says, "You don't want in. This is not for you." And I was like, I could tell it's not for me. JQ? I don't know. Corn and corn. Cigars. I like smoking a good cigar every once in a while. They make you extremely undesirable to be around, which is nice. Cigarettes too. At this point, nobody wants you standing around smoking cigarettes. Address more of these while I'm waiting.